highlights, though, of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. And this is the dark clouds that circulated Phillip Island before the big rains came. It was Andrew McPherson first in the wars here in car 51. A big one, though, David Reynolds, for Michael Bailey here, who made contact with the wall.
Yeah, that was a big one. Did they get that car repaired today?
That car is sitting out for the weekend,
okay? Yeah,
along with the two Ferraris. Yeah, and we've seen incidents down there today. This was the 124 Audi.
A lot of little incidents out there, so hopefully everyone got all their stuff fixed and they're out there.
They tend to be expensive when they're little as well.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing with these cars. They're so expensive to build, and you know they're hundreds of thousands of dollars per car, hundreds of thousands of dollars per car. So you know, a small touch can cost you 30 grand easily.
Exactly. Big drive here from Matt Stupas yesterday. This was the right rear tyre exploding for Ben Porter, who sent him into a 720. Miraculous recovery to get the Lamborghini back into the
Very
mix.
Scary. Very, very scary time.
But a class effort with Yasser Shaheen and Garth Tander dominating yesterday's race. That was polluted by the safety car early on, and this big one post-race for Wayne Mack, hitting the wall, the pit wall on the final lap, didn't actually get to the checkered flag, and not surprisingly, that Ferrari is OUT for race number 2.
Destroyed, unfortunately.
So, a bit different for today as the cars are on their formation lap. The time has started ticking down now. It's a 1-hour race with a compulsory pit stop. It'll see the fast guys, the pro guys, starting in the first race. So Tander and Whincup will square off on the front row. Boston and Stupas, Schumacher and Grove. Big impressive drive from Brenton Grove to get that Porsche back up after the incident to that pit lane speed limiter issue.
Very, very impressed by Brenton. Do I have to say my disclaimer again? He is technically my boss, so you know he did a very good job. But isn't it cool to have Garth Tander and Whincup on the front row? It's just two massive names in motorsport to lead the grid away.
So a couple of cars that got repaired yesterday. Gary Higgin will see Paul Stokel in that car today for the second race. And much better conditions than what we had. Would you agree yesterday was probably the wettest day we've seen here at Phillip Island in a long time?
Unsurprisingly, I've had wetter. I've had worse days, yeah.
Test days?
It's Phillip Island,
yeah.
So you know it's a very strange place to come racing. It can get very, very sunny or very, very wet. Either one very quickly.
I think we're fairly safe today as Chris Stubbs joins us for the next hour. The fastest man in pit lane at the moment. He was just down interviewing our top 3. Fascinating Super Cheap Auto race. We just saw them for TCR, but our attention turns to the GTs right now.
I really enjoyed that TCR race. That first couple of laps was on, and it was so enjoyable. Everyone was sitting on the edge of their seat watching it. It was amazing.
I think we're set for a beauty here as well, guys. If our qualifying times are anything to go by, 128.2 for Mostert, 128.4 for Whincup, and 1/10 for Tander. So if that's anything to go by, we know yesterday, as you just touched on, the pit lane limiter issue there for the Grove entry as they entered that really backed up Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim in the 888 entry, and it also affected Tony Bates and Chaz Mostert. So they were the losers out of that one. So today, I think we'll see a much more clear example of exactly where everyone's at. Those front 3 cars really should be leading us away.
So rolling starts are a bit different here. Normally in supercar land you're used to a standing start. So rolling starts, completely different feel, completely different atmosphere, and it can be just as scary because you have a bunch of cars all in a giant pack heading towards turn 1 at 250 k's an hour, and you're all nose to tail. It's full on.
What's the key to nailing it?
There's a bit of gamesmanship between each car. You know, they try and get little runs on each other before and after, and it's whenever you can time it to get the green flag is the person who gets the best start.
So here they come, race number 2. Audi and Mercedes on the front row, cars ready to jump out of position. It's a slow build-up with the green flag waves, and we're underway for the second race of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. They're side-by-side into turn number 1. Tander and Whincup. This is a great little combination. Contact going through 1. They survive. Oh man, he was lucky not to drill the Audi as they come back onto the course. Several cars taking to the outside of turn number 1.
We go down through the Southern Loop. What a way to start the race. They are playing for sheep stations. Remember, boys, we've got 1 hour of GT racing to go. You're not going to win it at the first corner, but you certainly could lose it. That was wild stuff between Garth Tander and Jamie Whincup. Of course, 888 Red Bull teammates when it comes to supercars racing.
Big entry oversteer for Whincup there. He's lucky to gather it up.
Let's put it mildly.
Yeah, it's huge.
Here's the 24 Bostic Audi coming through the field of Mostert, fresh from his win in Super Cheap Auto TCR. No shortage of laps this morning.
Go Brenton. I don't know how Chaz does it, jumping from the TCR car to the GT car in such a short time. Must play with his brain.
Would it take him a lap or two?
Oh, definitely taking a few laps to get used to everything again. Everything's so different that you have to. It's just naturally, everything's so different. So it takes a couple of laps. Yeah.
It's a juicy battle out in front here. Remember, they'll swap over to their teammates somewhere between the 25 and 35-minute mark of the race. You've got Bathurst crowns, you've got Supercar Championship crowns spread across the top three of this race. Let's go to the Garth Tander that leads lap number 1 as they come through.
Tander has to press on because he's got to make 5 seconds overall to still win the race. So he's got 5 seconds that he has to make up on Whincup, and 10 seconds he's got to make up on Mostert. So
that's a great point you put up today, because yesterday we had a pit stop of 96 seconds for the entire field. Today, the top 3 from each class gets 15, 10 and 5 respectively. So what they don't want is a safety car.
Absolutely, you don't want a safety car in this first stint. You know, maybe for the second stint when some of the amateur drivers get in, but not right now.
So on board now with the 888 entry. This is Jamie Whincup, the 7-time Supercar champion, heading down into the hairpin.
Tander's run a bit wide there, maybe struggling with his car a little bit. It was interesting to say we saw Adam de Boer before, and he said he's got a fresh set of tyres for that car.
Yeah, so they've got a fresh set, but they did road them, so they have actually done 1 lap. He said he doesn't like sending guys out here on absolutely green tyres, whereas GT was telling us that he's got a green set up his sleeve that they kept from qualifying. So what's the difference in the strategy there, Dave, and your preference? Would you go with a roaded set that have done 1 lap, or what's the difference?
There's a lot of different philosophies out there with tyre roading and green tyres for races, but they always say the green tyre, have a look at this replay, that's some scary stuff. But the green tyre can generally hold a bit more, it can deal with a bit more pressure build up over the race, but you know, there's pros and cons to both really, so it's really
personal preference.
Yeah, personal preference, absolutely.
So we settle into this race and start the 3rd lap. Tander gets a bit of a margin. It's only 6 tenths. In fact, it's only covering 1 second covering the top 3. Tander, Whincup, Mostert. Brenton Grove is in 4th position. Brad Schumacher, who had a great day out yesterday aboard his Kelso electrical entry, leads the GT3 class at the moment. Hobson runs in 6th position. Tony Quinn up to 7 in car 7. And Max Stupas, who was running inside the top 3, legit yesterday.
He was doing such a good job yesterday. What did he end up, 5th?
Yeah.
5th overall, yeah. It's a fantastic job. Brenton must have a moment or something because he's dropped off a second off the back of Mostert.
Dave, in general, between our top 3 cars, we've got a couple of Audis and the Merc. Where are their strengths and weaknesses? It's quite evident in Super Cheap Auto TCR racing today, where you can see the difference with the marks. What about these two?
They change obviously year on year, depends on their balance of power, and everyone talks about the BOP, the balance of power. So, you know, I know the Audis are generally really, really fast over a lap, but they normally hammer their rear tyres, so the car can slide around a lot more. The Whincup car is in a Mercedes AMG, and they're generally the nice balanced car, very easy to drive, looks after its tyres. So over a race distance, they're a lot better. And the Porsche is so new that I don't know a lot about it, to be fair, but I think it's quite balanced in every aspect, and it's probably one of the newer, better cars out there.
You know a bit about the technical setup, though, of the new Porsche. It's got some cool little some little factors to it, doesn't it, in terms of the seat and some of the ergonomics within the car. It's pretty high spec.
It's very high-tech car. They're even telling me that it's got like memory foam in the seat to, you know, really help him and be comfortable in the seat. And I was saying, my couch is basically the same at home.
Meantime, this race continues on. Coming up towards the 10-minute mark, let's go to pit lane with Molly Taylor.
Tony, I'm here with Tony Bates. Tony, tell me, Chaz Mostert's just come out of doing the TCR race. So some pretty hairy racing. He's your teammate here. Were there any words that you had to him before he jumped in about keeping the wheels off the grass?
There's no words you can give to Chaz Mostert. He's in a league of his own. Yeah, that passing for the TCR car is just incredible. So he's going all right out there. We obviously started from 3rd and still in 3rd, so as long as he can hang on there, there's a couple of seconds gain between all 3 cars. So.
And speaking of having some words with drivers, we saw you on the 7+ streaming trying to hook up Davey Reynolds there, trying to give him a call on his phone to let everyone know we hadn't put it on silent. So obviously some good banter, happy days, all good and happy camping here at the Audi Sport Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave's a rookie in the media game, so we thought we'd just check if he had his phone off. So rookie error by Dave, but I don't think he'll do it again, that's for sure.
We've got to learn that lesson once. Well, best of luck when you jump in.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh no, he's throwing me under the bus again.
He's safer up here. Well, Tander and Whitcomb continue to lead this race from Mostert, Grove and Schumacher. Will take a break. Plenty more still to come here from the island. So 10 minutes into the race, we're coming up towards turn number 4, and Baron Geese on the side of the track. We'll keep an eye on them as a move for position here now as Mostert muscles past the Mercedes.
Brilliant move.
And gets himself up in a second position. He's hungry for more success at the island today, and now chases Garth Tander, who's 1.3 seconds. Remember, he, like you said, Dave, has to get out to at least 5 seconds to make up the time at the pit stop.
Yeah, so he's got to make up 10 seconds on Chaz in his car and 5 seconds on Whincup. So looks like Whincup seems to be battling a little bit out there, but I'm sure he'll come good towards the end of his stint.
We saw a moment ago there, of course, we have our different divisions and classes in GT racing. So we have 8 entries in the GT World Challenge Australia Series powered by AWS. And we have 11 cars that are entered in the GT Trophy Series that are out on track as well at the moment. And then within that, we've also got your Pro-Ams. And we've got a GT4 car. There's one of them out there, Mark Griffith in the Merc. So everyone competing within their own categories. And you can see the different colours on the left of the totem that indicate for your timing where your favourite drivers are positioned within their class today.
And already 31 seconds covering the entire field. So should we not go safety car? Should we go safety car free? Expect this to be a jumbled up grid. The whole idea is to get these margins up nice and early.
On the in-car, can you hear the split off hit the front ground? That that's the front splitter hitting the ground through turn 1.
Now, you haven't raced in GT competition, but you've tested a couple of these cars over the years.
Yeah, I've tested the Audi here, which is very scary, very nervous car. I didn't really like it, to be fair. And the Mercedes GT car, which I loved. It was a beautiful car. How's the Cape Baron Geese to the left at turn 3 like? Do they have to pay for entry fee around here, or what goes? They get the best seats in the house.
I love the fact they're not even bothered by the cars going past.
Yeah, they're so used to it.
They're the most staunchest birds I've ever come across in my life.
Meantime, this is down the field. This is the 91 car of Arthur Abrahams, who's been around for a long time in the sport, the Cannon Foods car, just ahead of Bill Papadimitriou, running back in 15th and 16th. Just ahead was Dale Patterson going through in the Chevy Camaro in the GT3 class. He's been a regular in the GT scene for many years now. Of course, Arthur Abrahams goes back a long time in open wheel competition in Australia.
65 years young, Arthur. What a great opportunity for him to be out here racing today on the same circuit as guys like Whincup, Tander and Mostert, a former Australian Formula 2 champ, World Sports Car Championship he's competed in. Indy Lights he's even had a crack at, so a fantastic fellow with great experience.
He's such a good guy, such a cool guy to talk to. I love talking to him.
And I love the fact they just love going racing still.
Yeah.
It's just so cool.
It's in the blood, isn't it? Will you be doing that at 65, Dave?
If I've got enough money, yeah, definitely. Of course, it never leaves you, the sport.
Stop having kids then. Stop now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just if you can afford it or not.
So a quick shot of Nick Kelly in car 99. Watching the repaired 1-2-4 rally. Paul Stokely behind the wheel. Still a long way to play out here in race number 2 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, Garth Tander continues to lead, but it's half a second back to Mostert, who made the move on Jamie Whincup a couple of laps ago. And now we have a real battle at the front. It's going to be so hard to get these margins, boys. Chris Stubbs and David Reynolds alongside me.
Yeah,
Get that margin out.
Mostert is lighting up the timing sheets at the minute. He's 3/10 faster than his best lap than Tander, so he's reeling him in.
This is a replay, a Rebellion replay of what went on while we've been away. And we see Stupas going side by side with Tony Quinn in the Aston Martin just ahead.
A local legend, by the look of it.
Should be your nickname.
I'm not local.
And this was the move for second position. Nice move by Mostert here on the Mercedes of Jamie Whincup, who drops back into 3rd place now.
Now, Whincup, he is the 7-time Supercar champion, but he's not the he's quite new to this category as well. He's driven him on the odd occasion, but not as frequently as someone like Tander and Mostert has. So, you know, maybe he's just not up to familiarity as much as the other two.
And it just shows you the level of how good Jamie Whincup is when he drops into a car. Just phenomenal to see. The geese still take into sights on a Sunday. I'm getting nervous.
Not caring at all.
No, it's just another Sunday, isn't it?
If they took a couple of steps this way, we'll have another safety car.
And Motorsport Australia Race Control will be watching that. We've had several cases over the years where the session's been stopped or we bring out the safety car for that reason. Unlike humans, they don't tend to listen to people they tell.
No, they don't.
I think one of the all-time classics in MotoGP was Andrea Iannone and the exploding seagull. And the seagulls have caused a few issues over time, but I think you'd rather hit a seagull than a Cape Barren goose.
Yes,
I
think so.
Rather than hit none, but yeah.
Yeah, well, none.
So battle for the lead continues. We've got the Mercedes running back in third position of Whincup, and then it's 7 seconds to Brenton Grove, Brad Schumacher and Ben Porter, who will hand the car over to Andrew McPherson. The IMAC Lamborghini that was caught up in the lap 1 dramas yesterday runs in 6th position. While we talk about car 4 that's on your screen, Rusty's got an update from the Grove pits.
It's a perfect time to talk about this car, Matt. So Brenton currently P4 on with Stephen Grove right now. Can you give viewers at home, you're looking nice and relaxed at the moment, but a little insight into the plan here?
Well, the plan is Brent's got to try and stay as close as 3 guys in front of him are credentialed V8 supercar drivers. So Brenton's got to stay within that gap. I think on the the first guys, we've got 10 seconds we can pick up in the pits, and then 10 and 5. So he's got to keep the gap as close as he can, and leave it to me to try and run down the other guys if I can.
Great team that you've got here that you've brought together with this unbelievably good car. John Russell beside you there. What's been the learnings from Saturday's competition?
Oh, it's just the technical side of the car. It's a very, very advanced car, so we're just trying to learn all the technical components. Traditionally, a Cup car's got 3 switches in it, and that's about it for me. So, now we've got 50 switches, so we're just trying to learn all that process, and to have someone like John on board to help us get through that process is great.
For talking to us. We'll duck next door very shortly and try and grab a word with someone maybe like Roland Dane and get an update there for you too.
Thanks, Rusty, down in pit lane. The impressive debut of this Grove Porsche. They're going to embark on the entire series this year in the GT World Challenge Australia. They've been overseas, racing in Porsche Super Cup the last couple of years, and over in Bahrain at the Motorsport Games back in 2018 as well. Claimed a bronze medal at that event just in 2019.
Did they really? I would actually put my money on Brenton and Steve at the minute. Because they don't have any penalties or anything, and Stephen, when he gets in, he's one of the fastest AM drivers around, so he could definitely win this race.
And they're only 8 seconds away, so they've just got to hang around and just keep lapping. And hopefully they have the dramas come into pits, the pit area they did yesterday early in the race, which caused a bit of confusion for 2 cars behind. They were forced to take the grass and get around them. It cost bolt time for the 888 team, for example. They lost, we think, maybe 15 seconds alone there, probably more.
It's the worst feeling as a racing car driver being stuck in pit lane behind a car, because everyone else is out doing 200 k's an hour and you're just sitting in pit lane wasting time.
So our race leader still at the moment. It's 42 minutes left in this race is Garth Tander. Garth, of course, subbing in for Shane Van Gisbergen, his 888 teammate. Shane with a broken collarbone. He had surgery to fix that problem. He's touch and go for Sandown, and perhaps if Rusty gets a word with Roland Dane, he might like to ask that question. Just poke and prod Roland until he can get a committal one way or the other. And a shout out to Shane, who we know was watching the telecast yesterday, and he just loves racing anything he can get behind the wheel of, and he would be devastated not to be here today and having a bit of a spin around in this car at Phillip Island.
Really suits him, doesn't it, GT racing?
Definitely. I think, isn't it broken collarbone like a 6-week recovery? So
that's for normal people.
Are you going to tell Shane Van Gisbergen he's not going to race? Who'd be the doctor who would say that?
If I'm a doctor, I'd advise against it.
Yeah,
give us a chance.
Sure. Stephen Grove getting prepared down in the Grove Motorsport Garage. This battle for the lead continues. Mostert pulls out for a look on Tander and tucks in behind once again. We've still got 41 minutes of racing and getting closer to that pit stop window. It's about 6 minutes away.
Well, you got to think about it. Like when you sit in the seat and you put your hands device on and strap in really hard, like there's a lot of pressure on that collarbone. So it's going to be a painful experience.
We just saw his teammate there, Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. So he's out here for a full 12 months. They have raced quite a bit together previously, as we've touched on. As we've got one of our trophy cars is off. That is Taylor. So we'll find out what has happened here, but he has parked that in the gravel, and this could cause a reaction from the field.
What did we say? We didn't need a safety car.
Don't need a safety car now.
And it's coming at a really tough time. You'd think they're going to pull one with that car stranded in the gravel.
That's an Anu on Beach Dasbro.
We'll chop him out the race. I'll pick up with it. It's on the exit of the second last turn, perhaps. The leaders are coming towards that point of the circuit now. They've got 1.6 seconds back to Whincup, nearly 10 seconds to Grove, and it's Schumacher. We go yellow, so the safety car has been called here. Around 40 minutes remaining. As we'll take a look at what happened to the 5. It looks like he did it on his own. I watched the cars down there on Friday morning. They seem to be really unsettled on that change of direction through there.
Well, especially the Audis, because they're mid-engine cars, so all the weight just sort of gyrates around itself.
So Hyundai safety car is on the track. The co-drivers are getting prepared to come out. We've still got 40 minutes of racing in race 2 of the GT World Challenge Australia from the island. So it'll take a couple of laps here, you'd think, to get the 5 car of Taylor out of the gravel. The safety car boards are shown. Big shout out to our Victorian flag marshalling team, of which there's so many volunteers that give up their time to man this enormous course at Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. They've been here since Friday morning. And one other thing too, boys, it's so good to have crowds back at the races. They're parked right around the complex.
Yeah, last year was a very strange year.
It was.
Even going racing, there was no crowds, just a TV event. Just
very eerie.
Very strange. Yeah, very, very eerie events we went to.
Yeah, great turnout. As you said, cars the whole way down the Gardner Straight that we can see from here. And you would have stayed in your car yesterday, but they're all getting out and about and enjoying it. And great access for all the fans too in the paddock. You can get right up close to the stars and see these machinery. And this is some of the most spectacular and exotic cars in the world. And there's kids that are just loving every moment of it here at Phillip Island.
You see the kids walk around, massive smiles on their face, and they come up for photos. So cute.
And that's what the accessibility of this series has been. You can wander into the pits, and even looking at our commentary box windows, we look at Vince Tesoriero, the man that got the 12-hour race up and going many, many years ago, teamed up with Bill Papadimitriou. They'll swap over very soon. There is Roland Dane down in the garage.
Where's Rusty?
He'll be lurking somewhere. Jeffrey Ibrahim getting ready to suit up in a Mercedes.
Cool helmet.
We were just saying about Jeffrey. He's here for 12 months of extensive and intensive driver training. He's based up on the Gold Coast, absolutely loving life. Chatting with the team yesterday, and they're saying that when they race in Asia in this series, he's absolutely mobbed. There is such an entourage and so much that is involved in having him at a racetrack, whereas here, he insisted that he just be called Jeffrey. He didn't want any of his royal titles to be brought up in our interview with him the other day. He's very down to earth. He does have a bodyguard here with him. That is one of the terms and conditions of him being allowed to come out and race. So he's got someone with him all the time, but compared to Asia, it's so relaxed for him. He's really looking forward to developing his craft. Started out in polo, and now he's in motor racing and loves his GTs.
So it's a definite holiday for him.
Yeah, exactly.
He can relax for the first time probably in his life.
Yeah.
I reckon I could be a prince of something.
Of something, yeah.
Of something.
Let's make something up.
Yeah, let's think of something.
Of this commentary booth.
Yeah. This looks good though. The Hyundai safety car lights are going out. And he'll pull into pit lane. Some clouds suddenly hanging around here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. A long way to play out. We're entering that pit stop window very soon. And all that chance and opportunity that Tander and Mostert were looking for to get the additional seconds they needed, well, that's just been made a whole lot tougher now as we go back to green flag racing.
Tander got the jump. Congratulations.
And he'll need to get on with it. Would you push on longer now?
Possibly, yeah. They'll go right to the end of the window here, so they'll go to the 35-minute board as close as they can to keep the faster drivers in the car to try and extend the gap.
And that's where the strategy comes in as well, isn't it? Making sure you leave it late enough, but not too late that you end up going too far over the time. So how well does this work for your bosses, though, for the Groves? What a fantastic outcome for them.
Safety car is back in, and we're back to green flag racing here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. It's Garth Tander leading from Chaz Mostert, Jamie Whincup and Brenton Grove as we retrieve the Greg Taylor car out of the gravel trap. Well done for the team to get them out in less than really 2 laps as we get closer to the pit stop window. And we'll start doing driver swaps. We've seen most of them all suited up, ready to go. What's the process, Dave? How long does it take to get prepared? How much time do you give yourself? You're asking the wrong guy here.
Yeah, I'm always the last, the latest person to get ready. So, you know, a lot of people before the start of the race, they like to get in like 10 minutes before the car and, you know, get psyched up. And I get in with like a minute to go, decided just think about it less. The less I think, the better I go. But everyone's different. But, you know, it does take a little bit of time to get your balaclava on, get your helmet back on, and get really comfortable with everything on yourself.
Well, he's got him. Rusty has Roland Dane.
Stubbsy, I'm always conscious at moments like this not to try and interrupt, but sometimes it's the little things that you watch when you're wandering around pit lane. You kind of drew breath when that safety car came out. What's the impact from the team's point of view of that?
The only thing really was whether it stayed in the gravel long enough to have the safety car window, the driver change window open while we're on the safety car. But they actually did a really good job. They cleared it up quickly and we lost a couple of laps, that was it. So now I think you'll find that most people will stay towards the end of the window now. That's just opened actually 20 seconds ago. So next 10 minutes, you'll see all the pit stops.
Jeffrey's kitted up, good to go right beside you. Feedback from Jamie so far, how's everything going?
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's happy in the car. The Audis are a tickle quicker at the moment, but it's a long race and it can happen. Maybe they'll get together and take each other out.
Oh, there you go, a tickle quicker. That's the line, thank you.
We're going to use that word. If the pit stop window has opened now, Roland Dane, who we saw in competition in the Tin Tops last year.
He's always optimistic about other people's futures, isn't he?
And he's great at picking the weather. Like yesterday, a sprinkle of rain before the end of the race. Didn't want to give a forecast for the rest of the day. But certainly we got a couple of drops towards the end of race number 1 of the GT World Challenge Australia. It's the dawn of a new era for GT racing in Australia, teaming up with the Stefan Rattel organisation, so it's part of a global series. And if and when the international borders open, we should start to see this series expand, because it's a great category that races right across the world. So they come to complete another lap. Can't shake him, can he? Tander pulls out for another look. I love that shot as they appear out of nowhere down the hill. And Mostert will tuck in behind Garth Tander, who'll be making his life a misery.
His car's looking a bit faster at the minute, so he'll be looking to get past him as soon as he can possibly do it.
And we've had
so he can hand it over to Tony in the lead.
We've had our first couple of competitors coming in for the compulsory pit stop with that window now open, as we've discussed. A couple of our trophy competitors are in, as we can see now. Schumacher is the first one who's taken the bite and come in. That's Brad Schumacher. Fantastic effort from him yesterday. That was a really impressive drive, wasn't it?
Nice car controller too. There's the 33s also in the pits. And these guys not having to take any additional time, so they've got the 96 seconds.
They'll probably come out ahead of some of the, you know, the Pro-Am cars. So it's up to the amateur drivers to, tighten up the belts and throw it down the inside.
So what Roland Dane said was right. You'll see these guys come right at the end, the last 30 seconds of the stop. But for any of the guys who don't need additional time, well, you might as well do it now.
Yep,
get it out of the way.
So at the moment, the gap...
Very racy, very fast at this part.
The gap back from Tander in first position to Grove in fourth. Oh. This is great racing as they come around the final bend and down onto the Gardner Straight. Good racing from Garth Tander and Chaz Mostert, really putting the foot down these last couple of minutes that they've got out on the track to enjoy themselves in the Audis, toe-to-toe into the first corner. So we've seen now.
Garth Tander is one of the most difficult people to pass in your life, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
It'll be far from easy. And Whincup just hanging back there. He doesn't need to do anything, just stay with the guys.
He's actually edged up closer since they started fighting.
So the gap from Tander to Grove now is 4.5 seconds. We know that Grove's advantage over Tander in the pits is 15 seconds. So he will come out around 10 seconds ahead on track. Can Grove hold on in that second part of the race? Very possibly.
Well, that safety car did help him a lot. So, yeah, my money's still on them.
Yep.
It's got to be a really bad feeling when you're leading a race and you hear the safety car come out, because you work so hard to get the track position.
It's got to be demoralising, yeah. And then knowing that they're going to have to spend a lot shorter time in the pits and you're sitting there just losing time, it's just a terrible feeling for a driver, but that's the sport we're in.
And what's it like also? I mean, we've had pit lane speed limiters now for a long time. I'll keep an eye on this battle at the same time. But you ever get that urge when you're going down pit lane, like 40 Ks is such a dribble down the lane?
Not fast enough at all. But you are quite busy, especially when you're trying to spot your pit box and everything's going on, when pit lane's really busy, it's quite hard to see everything that's going on. So 40 Ks is actually not too bad.
Through to another lap and edging closer to the window. Back in car with Jamie Whincup.
Chaz has pulled out to try and cool his tyres out possibly. He might be struggling with a bit of understeer in the front, so maybe the front tyre temp's gone up too much.
Is that bottoming out? You can hear.
Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it? Good oversteer.
That's something you just have to live with at Phillip Island with the change direction of load on the cars.
Yeah, just you try and run it as... Well, they've got a problem.
So Whincup has made the move here. So what happened to Mostert at Southern Loop that's allowed Whincup to take the position?
I wonder what happened there. That was really strange. Maybe he had a massive moment out of turn 2.
Well, he was a second behind this group to begin with. As down into Siberia they go.
Well, you touched on it, Dave, but coming down the straight, he pulled out, maybe trying to cool the tyres down. There could be an issue here.
Oh, that's a big oversteer. Huge oversteer. Good catch, good car control.
And it's the speed you lose as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you lost all that momentum down the straight, so it's an easy pass for Whincup to reclaim second. Oh.
Jamie just makes it look so simple.
Yeah, so easy. He'd be stoked with that one. They're the easiest. That's the best you could wish for in a race car driver. Yes, now he's going to have to battle with him for the rest of the race until they pit, so it's going to be difficult for Chaz to get past him.
He's trying to make the move here. It's tucks in behind the back of car 888 with the Johor Motor Racing Group that team up with 888 Race Engineering for this year's Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia.
Cool looking car too, all chrome.
It's amazing up close.
Look at the rear wing on the Audi as well, bouncing around. Plenty of movement in that down the straight. A lot of pressure.
Here's the 77 car now, Bill Papadimitriou jumping out. And in gets Vince Tesoriero aboard the 77. Behind them is the 99 of Nick Kelly. So Kelly rejoins the race with Tony Quinn. So that's how we think it will look. The adjusted leaderboard comes out at the end of the pit stop cycle. Well, we keep an eye at the front. We've got 5 cars in the pits. Brad Schumacher has rejoined, along with Tony Quinn and Nick Kelly. Hobson and Stupas are performing their stop right now with no additional times being added to theirs, so a 96-second stop.
I reckon they'll do one more lap and then pit. It's getting very close to that 25-minute board.
And we talked about yesterday with the pit lane length here. It's one of the longest ones we have on the tour, but they use a different loop here. They don't have the loop that we'd use with the supercars when they'd come in. It's halfway up the pit lane. This one starts at the very first garage. It's about 330 metres from loop to loop down this pit lane.
Caused a little bit of heartache in the lane yesterday too. There were a couple of teams that were a little unsure about exactly where they were starting and stopping those timings, and a few I think barbs were traded between the two, as we see an adjustment there for Whincup setting himself up.
He's in this lap, obviously. He's disconnected his helmet hose on top of his lid, so he's getting ready to enter the lane.
Bit of pressure on the stopwatch,
this
Keith,
time
the time this time around, isn't there? When you've got Tanner and Whincup and Mostert all so close at the top here, any like 1 or 2 seconds will make a difference with track position.
Absolutely. Well, they're very, very close to the minute, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out top.
So what Whincup is doing there is trying to make the process easier to get out of the car when he comes in for his pit stop. So looking out of our window, the 96 is struggling to lead the lane. That's Brett Hobson, who we've seen in Super 2 competition over the years. In comes the IMAC Lamborghini that was in the wars yesterday. First lap skirmish with Andrew McPherson behind the wheel, and that massive lose when a right rear tyre failed for Ben Porter late in the race. So both he and Paul Stokell, great to see Paul Stokell back behind the wheel of a race car, particularly in GT competition. He was great in a Lamborghini many years ago and a multi-time Gold Star winner in the Australian Drivers' Championship back in the 90s.
Really nice guy. I raced him in Carrera Cup. Very, very, very good competitor.
Huge talent.
Great Tasmanian, good people.
Are they?
Great people.
In comes our leading group. So you picked it. They come in on this lap. So remember, there's additional times added today. The 15, 10 and 5. As they head towards pit lane, we'll do the same with Greg Rust.
So, Matty, the signal is being made by Matty Cook, who is, has been working with Triple Eight race engineering for many years now. He's in the lane there to direct Jamie Whincup in. Now, Matty actually walked around to the pit next door before and had a word to John Russell, who's looking after the Grove team. I just said to John, what was Matty asking you about? And he sort of gave me a wry smile. I said, was it to check when you were pitting and to ensure that they tried to have as clear a lane as possible? And in that English way of his, he smiled at me and said it could have been. So pit stops happening here. The Grove team are in also. Just saw Paul Stokel do a pit stop before there as well, and that's something that you know, requires a little bit of a reprogram again. Paul said the last time he did circuit racing competition, you've got to go back to 2013 and mini competitions. In successful in Formula Holden back in the day as well. Great to have someone like Paul Stokel back in this game.
Yeah, great for Piranha Engineering back in the day. They were dominant force in Formula Holden / Brabham back in the mid-90s. And just good to see him back behind the wheel. And it's good to see some names come back that you kind of wonder where they went.
That's great.
So here is the
long time to sit in the pits, isn't it?
It
Very
is.
long time to sit in the pits when you're watching it. Probably feels even longer when you're actually in the car.
So now they play the waiting game. There's no mandatory stop for tyres. You can't take fuel on it. This is Ibrahim just gets the car away and leaves the lane. So too does Bates. And look who comes in between both of them. The Grove Porsche. He's right on the back. They leave from pit lane, which got our attention out the commentary box window as they leave. So now we go through the pit stop cycle and everybody is through. If you're wondering why the headlights are on, it's gotten darker here in the last few minutes at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Not as dark as yesterday, as now the 33. It looks like at the exit of MG, that's Vince Bariti. We'll try and do a flick spin here in his Audi. Get back on with it, or he's limping off the track here, so maybe something more sinister to his car, or just trying to find a spot safe to rejoin.
Some of these cars are very hard to flick spin because they've got traction control, so you actually can't do it most of the time.
So this has worked.
Oh,
this has worked because
Tony's run a bit wide there. This is going to be on. This is on.
The number 4 Porsche has split these two during that pit stop. So as you picked earlier in the race, they're now right in the mix on the debut run for the Grove Motorsport team.
Drivers alongside him.
And will take the lead as they sweep past the lake and up towards the Lukey Heights. Still 23 minutes of racing to go, boys. So, the AM drivers, if you will, now back behind the wheel. Gives a chance for our pro drivers to call off, and Jack Perkins is down the lane now.
Yeah, thank you, Matt Nolte. Garth Tander. Mate, that was an interesting first stint. You had Jamie Whincup try and go around the outside lap 1, then you had Chaz all over the back bumper. Tell us about it.
Yeah, first corner was nearly the world's biggest plane crash. We were both, Jamie are in there sideways, like, whoa, this is big. But we got through. And then, yeah, Chazzy had plenty of speed. Our car was really good, but just didn't quite get the tyre pressure right, particularly the right rear. So it was skating on the rear tyre, so just had to manage that. You can see Chazzy was having a big go, but just tried to put my car in the right spot. Because you're racing for the pit stop penalty. That pit stop was faster, so just try and hold him back for as long as possible to give Yasser a crack. So now it's a really good battle between Batesy, Chris Jeffrey and Yasser, and I think Steve Grove's in the league now, so it'll close right up at the end, so it'll be cool to watch.
Well, Dave Reynolds up in commentary. He's been talking about how the Audi's a little bit more nervous in the rear, and it kind of looked like it. Is that the case?
Yeah, it probably is. I think that's just a mid-rear engine car, particularly mid-corner at turn 2. It has a big over-rotation there, so yeah, Jamie's probably just fat-arming it there in the Mercedes. Nice and comfortable driving it around, but yeah, we have to work a little bit harder in the Audi, but it's good, it's fast.
All right, mate, put the feet up and watch the rest of the race.
Fat arming it, Jamie Whincup. Can you picture that? The 7-time champ, and Garth Tander saying making it as fat as possible, and Dave Reynolds, he does that well.
He's one of the hardest blokes to pass in motorsport history. But I was right about the cars this night. I described them well.
That's why we got you up here.
That's what expert comments by Reynolds.
I mean, we love your banter, but sometimes you've got to bring some sort of technical expertise.
Oh, it's on here. Tony's not giving an inch.
It makes it a 3-car scrap because Grove's out to 3.5 seconds already in the Porsche.
Hope nothing goes wrong for him. I did pick him at the start, didn't I?
We had to in more ways than one.
No, I wasn't like, you know, I just read the time sheet and I could see they were going to come out front. It was quite close, but I had to pass Tony to get the lead.
Either way, it's going to be on for the next 20 minutes between these three, you'd think. As now, out comes Yasser.
Down the inside.
Yasser Shaheen trying to make the move down to turn number 1. He gets it done. So the Ben Motorsport Park Valvoline Audi moves up into 3rd position now.
This is a big moment for these guys, huge moment for them. I mean, they've just sat there in the garage watching these pro guys, these biggest names in Australian motorsport going around, and now the pressure's on them to try and bring this home when they're all toe-to-toe with each other at the front of the field. This is a big moment for these guys.
Yeah, Tony and Yas are quite highly competitive people, and they won't be letting each other pass easily, rolling out the red carpet, so that this is going to be on for second.
The pressure must be immense. I mean, you just had the pro guys go out there and set the track alight, put his big lap times down. It's now Shaheen goes side by side. Oh, he got pushed up onto the curb.
That's real close.
We all stood back from the screen.
What's also...
It's a nervous moment as they climb the top of Lukey Heights and down to MG. Let's go back to Rusty.
You want to talk about nerves, Matt? You should have seen this guy before when Stephen made the pass for the lead. He was jumping, cheering.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. It was hard to stay with the front boys. Obviously, everyone knows the calibre that they are, so that safety car played into our hands a little bit. But after the restart, I was just pushing as hard as I could to try and stay with them and make sure that Steve had a decent opportunity. He's past the boys now, but there's going to be a lot of traffic, so hopefully he can get past them and doesn't hold us up too much. We can hold on.
Feedback on the car from you, given the handover and the message to him for the remainder of this stint.
The car was quite tricky to drive, actually. The braking performance wasn't what it had been. I just set it in the car and said, off you go. You've got the talent, you've got the ability, just go and have some fun. And luckily he made the pass on the outlap and gave us some time, but it's a pretty safe pair of hands. It was pretty quick, so hopefully he can bring it home for us.
They're not getting too excited down here at the moment. They are glued to the screens of 7. Good on you, thank you.
Yeah, nice stint there from Brenton Grove, the 23-year-old who did a great job out there yesterday trying to get the car further back up the field. He started back here in Porsche 944 competition, really the entry level in the Porsche racing in Australia. He's raced in Formula 4, he won for Team BRM, he's contested the Bathurst 12-hour and finished in 2nd place back in the Porsche GT3 Challenge back in 2017. So we go back to
big spin down the front straight.
Out of our commentary box window, and we heard the tyre screeching, but it's kept it off the wall. You can see where the Wayne Mack incident was, the marks on the wall at the top. This time it didn't go into the fence. Still side by side here.
He's not letting it past it. He's not giving the red carpet for the Prince, is he?
Was there a bit of contact on the way through? Saw some debris. And it's the 33 of Vince Mariti that's facing the wrong direction. It's going to be a tricky point here. As the field come on by. And what's going on here with the 777, boys? Was that going slow down the straight? Was he acknowledging the yellow flags?
I'm not sure if there was a yellow flag out or not. I think Tony did that correctly because there's a green flag right at the start-finish line. He passed him just after it. But what we haven't actually thought about is the race yesterday, all the AM drivers had new tyres at the start. They get in halfway through the race when the tyres are more cooked and more used, so it's going to be much harder for them to drive.
So Shaheen finds back, so with a redress situation there, perhaps he slowed down. A couple of cars went past him during that point coming onto the main straight.
It was well picked up by the guys, smart.
Yeah.
To work out what was going on, put themselves back in position and race on. Well played.
Going back to your point about tyres, I didn't get a chance to finish off, but come back to that again because we've got another replay happening here. There's a lot going on here in race number 2.
Boy.
This was Mariti spinning earlier. This was earlier in the race on the Rebellion replay. This was McPherson being passed, safety cars being called. That was Brad Schumacher bowling a wide down there at the turn 4 hairpin. So the safety car's been called for. The 33 stranded on the main straight. And this was a busy moment down at the MG hairpin. Shaheen going through on the inside of the Mercedes-Benz. So the safety car is out. We're getting towards the business end. It's the Groves leading the way from Shaheen, Bates, Ibrahim and Schumacher, your top 5. So, not the best day for car 33. Vince Mariti that's had several excursions and Now the Hyundai safety car has been called. Probably having trouble just getting that car refired.
He's had a few spins, so maybe they started with too much pressure in the tyre or something like that, and it's just become so difficult to drive as the race went on.
So this changes the complexion now for the Groves because they were out to a big lead of 19 seconds to that point.
They've lost their advantage.
So it turns us into a sprint race.
But I think Stephen's fast enough to do the job, so he'll have his head down as soon as the lights go out. He'll be trying to punch on and increase the gap.
15 minutes left. Under safety car at the moment. And it is, as we said, the Groves in that brand new Porsche GT3 R911. It is a beautiful piece of machinery. As we still wait for Mariti to be cleared. He was so lucky not to hit the wall.
He's still got a perfect auto body, doesn't he?
Yes. Unlike Mac yesterday, that was awful. That Ferrari was in a world of pain.
It's probably one of the worst corners to have a spin at because, you know, the walls are very close either side. And most people always spin to the inside, so it's a hard corner to get right. It's blind. It's very, very fast. You know, she's 4/5 gear, 200 and something k's an hour. When it snaps in the corner, in the mid corner there, it can really gyrate fast on you.
Well, the good news is he has managed to just turn it around, and he is facing in the right direction now, at least down Gardner Straight. So he's just rejoining the race now. So hopefully that means our safety car will only be a couple of moments away from clearing the track and letting us go green once again, and we'll have just over 10 minutes of racing to go. So we are set for an absolute belter of a finish here in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia Race 2 at Phillip Island. We've got these guys with plenty of experience, but they're not pros. And the pros have been out there and they've set them up, and they're in a position now where there are no excuses for these front four competitors.
Some people are very experienced, Stubbsy.
Oh,
they're definitely not pros.
I just said they weren't pros.
No, that's true, but they're very experienced amateurs.
And would this be a situation where the pro guys from the pits going, oh damn, why couldn't we be out there for this last 10 minutes?
Anytime you've got your amateur driver in, you're always going, oh, I wish I could be out there, but you know, that's a pro-am race.
So safety car continues to lead the field. Burst of sunshine now over the top of Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Now the safety car's waving the field by here because Stephen Grove is a fair way down the road here on our time sheets. Yasser Shaheen has just gone past. We should see Bates and Ibrahim. Here they come down the straight. So a little bit of chasing. Probably another lap or two before we can go back to green flag racing here at Phillip Island. Well, they have gone. They've put the green out here with the safety car still on the course.
What?
So the safety car has just gone behind us, and Grove is behind. So clearing cars at the moment.
Safety
cars are being cleared.
Bit of confusion here at Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. We welcome you back to the final 10 minutes of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia race number 2. And we're just clearing the field to catch up to our leader that's behind the Hyundai safety car, which is on the other side of the circuit right now. The leader, Stephen Grove, in the number 4 Porsche.
So Stephen's down at turn 1, just exited turn 1, so all the rest of the people have to catch up to him and get the race under control again before they restarted.
About a minute and 13 to catch up, so they'll go at race pace to try and catch the back. So the Hyundai safety car will keep the Grove car as slow as possible, but he's trying to keep heat into the tyres here at the same time.
Yeah, well, the unfortunate part is, you know, the Groves are sitting there getting really cold with their tyres, and so he's going to try and weave them up as much as he can, but everyone else is at full speed, so by the time they get to him, and we're going to replay a crash here.
Doesn't matter how much concrete you put on the outside there, they continue to find it.
Like I said, they go from your fast around there. So Stephen's going to have a whole field up behind him with basically warm tyres that are ready to pounce on when the safety car lights go out.
Dave, from your conversations with Brendan and Stephen, have they explained at how the Porsche is at looking after its tyres? You said before about the Merc is generally pretty good compared to the Audi. Where's the Porsche fit in?
Yeah, well, to be honest, they say it's such a new car, they don't really know much about it, so they're sort of finding their feet with the whole program. But, you know, from their initial thoughts are it's just a beautifully balanced car, does everything perfect, so they don't really have any faults yet. So that's why I tipped them to win the race.
It's a great debut run.
Oh, great.
Any new car, you always have those concerns about gremlins, those little green things that we...
Well, that's what happened yesterday. A small technical error
Exactly.
actually, you know, did them over in the race.
So we almost caught the back of the Hyundai safety car now, which is going to make this an even shorter sprint to the flag. 8.5 minutes, the time continues to count down. Grove, Shaheen, Bates, Ibrahim and Brad Schumacher, the top 5. Thompson is next from Stupas and McPherson.
Like I said before, like you got to go down there and check out that car live in person. It's one of the most beautiful cars you've ever seen, race cars. It's just immaculate.
When are you getting a spin in it?
Oh, Brendan said today, oh, we'll put you in. I'm like, yes, please. How's tomorrow sound?
You had everything packed already.
I brought my helmet in the car, actually. You never know. Race car drivers always bring their helmet to a track. Because someone might have a crash or get sick, or so you need to step in and do your job. And I'll happily hand over the microphone for a steering wheel.
Might have to sort something out. Get you a lap for our broadcast, perhaps at the 6 hour. Maybe up with Bathurst.
Oh, that'd be amazing, yeah.
Likes that idea. And really like the idea too, because we're going back to racing here at Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit. The final 7.5 minutes of racing. With Grove leading, that gap was out to nearly 20 seconds, but it's back to less than a second. It's got Shaheen, Bates and Ibrahim for company in second, third and fourth.
Down into Southern Loop we go. We see the mid-pack battle here. Remember, we've got our 2 classes of racing. We've got our GT World Challenge and our trophy entries as well. And it means as much to all of them. Doesn't matter what class you're in, Pro-Am or Am, you are racing hard with less than 10 minutes to go. There's our class guide. You can see on the screen there, the yellow, our 4 Pro-Am entries. Oh, here's a moment, contact.
That was a decent lunge.
It could have ended in tears for both of them. Down at the turn 4 Honda hairpin at Phillip Island, there's Brad Schumacher, another strong showing from the Kelso Electrical Audi. Team solely based out of Bathurst. He's really loving his time in the GT World Challenge. We'll see him all season long. Expect to see Tim Slade as a co-driver as well. The Endurance Championship side of this series. Stephen Grove with the headlights ablaze. He's got Shaheen right behind him, and this is the battle we want to keep an eye on, guys.
Yeah, Tony's not giving him the red carpet, is he?
No.
Definitely not giving. I don't know about you guys, but I would want to take out a Prince because he'd probably send his army to come and get me. Or the whole country.
How do you think of this stuff?
I don't know, yeah.
Stubbsy, help me.
Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. He's the Prince of Johor. He's 5th in line. It's a state of Malaysia. So here we go. This is for the lead of the race. A bit of a look there at the end of the Garden Straight, and continuing it on as we head around into Southern Loop. It is Stephen Grove still holding off Yasser Shaheen, who drove beautifully in yesterday's race. Yasser was a star alongside Garth Tander. So those two with a little bit of a gap at the moment.
Here's a replay in car with Jeffrey Ibrahim. Oh, man, the door was closing as he arrived on the scene. And great recovery from the 888 driver.
That was very close to being a big accident. Both pulled it off. Tony obviously saw him coming, lunged in the mirror and gave him enough room.
And same too for Schumacher, who read the play coming and backed away from it at the very last second.
Battle for the lead.
So can Grove hold on for the next 5 minutes?
Well, like I said before, once his tyres get up to temperature, because once his tyres get up to temperature, I think he's going to be able to hold on, but it's just those first couple of laps that were going to be a bit squirmy for him.
Motorsport Australia Race Control issuing a drive-through penalty for car 7, Tony Quinn, for too fast in their pit stop, so the Aston Martin Vantage will drop out of 10th position as it continues on down here. You know the hardy race fans know where to sit at Phillip Island, and MG tends to be a very popular spot here.
Tony's making his Audi very wide at the minute, isn't he?
Sure is. 4.5 minutes to go. Through they come. Shaheen pulls out. Will he take the lead? They're going to be side by side, almost dead even at the finish line. It was almost perfect. 0.0001.
Good move around the outside.
That was crazy, and takes the lead of the race. And now Stephen Grove will have to do all the work. Meantime, Bates, Ibrahim, Schumacher, Hobson and the Nissan in 6th position, and Matt Stupas all arguing over 3rd position. And this will go anywhere in the closing stages.
When you own your own track, you probably got a little bit more experience than everyone else out there, wouldn't you? But that was a fantastic.
Oh, Schumacher's gone. Schumacher's gone. I'm not sure if there was contact, but he's had a wild spin across the gravel and will just keep it off the tyre wall. But is that car buried in the gravel? And is it out of harm's way to keep this race going?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. These cars are very, very flat on the bottom, so as soon as they get, you know, any sort of like stones or in that sort of sand trap, it's just impossible to get them out. So they'll have to get the tow truck and the rope ASAP.
That could be a big moment for this race. If we go yellow, if we have a safety car now, with only 5 minutes remaining in this race, well,
another car off.
Oh, that's it.
Stupas returning to the track. I saw the gravel, and that's put Hobson up into 5th position now. The 96 Nissan is on the charge and up into 5th place, leading the GT3 class. So we jump back in car with Jeffrey Ibrahim. Still Bates ahead. Shaheen leads from Grove, and under 3 minutes to go. Another car off. I think that's at the spot we saw the dust cloud from. It could be Nick Kelly.
Is that at the hay shed?
It looks that direction. That's where I saw the...
Yeah, that's in the hay shed.
It is the containers.
That would have been a wild one off.
This might tell us. So this is what happened to Schumacher. Now, I don't think there was contact.
There could have been some aero unbalance and just spun by himself, possibly.
Getting late into the race too, you're going to have a lot of the chunks of marbles, the rubber that peels away from the tyres, which narrows up the racing line through that very fast sweeper that was...
Possibly a bit of that too.
And, this was Stupas and Hobson getting together. Now, here's the 99. Maybe there's more to this as they went side by side in contact. It's going to see Kelly across the gravel at a high-speed point. We know how wide open the fields are here, but you need that for the speed they go off the track.
Maybe Matt just didn't see him and just kept turning in.
The good news is we have green flags everywhere, even at the Honda hairpin where Schumacher is stranded. So we are racing to the conclusion of this one. Yasser Shaheen at the moment with a 2.74, so almost 2-second lead over Stephen Grove. There's an anxious Garth Tander who would be itching to be in the car, looking reasonably cool, calm and collected like he did in the latter stages of last year's Bathurst 1000. Of course, that he went on to be victorious in for the 4th time. You see the Camaro coming around, the sole Camaro entry. 8 manufacturers in this race. Stupas behind him. We've got Aston Martin, Audi, Camaro, Ferrari, Lamborghini, the Mercs, Nissan and Porsches as well.
Hobson is arguing for a podium spot here. And he's going to win his class today. In what's turned out to be a wild finish. You're in car with Ibrahim once again. Car 888. While Shaheen's out to 2.5 seconds. Fastest lap of the race went to Chaz Mostert, but that was a long time ago on lap 6. 1 minute 29.1. So we're on the penultimate lap of the race today. In a wild race 2 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia.
Hobson's done a stellar job, isn't he, in the GT3?
Amazing job.
Tony must have a problem or something, because he's obviously backed everyone up.
And they're some 10 seconds away from the leader. He works his way around the top of Lukey Heights. Such a picturesque shot, isn't it? You've got a racetrack and then the ocean in the background.
Oh, it's one of the best race circuits in the world.
It's amazing to watch motorsport down here. We're about an hour and a half to the south east of Melbourne here in Victoria. We're coming around to start the final lap.
What a great effort by Hobson, as you're touching on. 3rd yesterday, so a 5-second penalty for him as well in terms of the additional time to his mandatory pit stop today. And to be sitting there in 4th position and pressuring Tony Bates is just outstanding. On board now with the Bend Motorsport Park Valvoline entry of Garth Tander and Yasser Shaheen. Yasser behind the wheel at the moment.
He's such a great competitor. He just just thinks about it just so intensely. He's so good. I drove with him the 12-hour a few years ago, and he was awesome to partner with.
The Shaheen smart operators in cars and out. That's why they've been so successful.
Yes.
The effort they've done with their racetrack over in South Australia, the Ben Motorsport Park, which continues to expand over there, the biggest circuit outside of the Nürburgring in the world.
I actually run around it once too. It's a good running track.
A lot of cyclists actually use it. It's incredible. Safer than the main highway to Melbourne.
Definitely.
So here is our leader, Garth Tander, who drove another meticulous drive earlier. They won yesterday, did it comfortably, albeit when the safety car came out early and we had that pit lane incident with the Grove car. So Shaheen motored past the Grove Porsche and is going to win this race by over 3 seconds in race number 2, the opening round of what's been a wild Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia round. Shaheen and Tander win race number 2 at Phillip Island. Grove will get second, Bates will be third, and we see that Ibrahim has got past Hobson on the final lap as the Melbourne Performance Centre team stoked with their effort today. Back-to-back victories. 3rd and 4th and 5th is sorted with Bates, Ibrahim and Hobson.
Yes, he drove an amazing race. Very good race, Jesse drove. Very, very happy with that.
Arthur Abrahams will pick up the AM class win. In 8th position outright. Good return too for Higgin as well. That car was in the garage yesterday, the second of the KFC cars that he shared with Paul Stokel today. And Tony Quinn will finish in 10th, even with that drive-through penalty aboard his local legends, Aston Martin.
Yeah, great effort, Tony Quinn, of course, a former owner of GT racing in Australia and the owner of Highlands and Hampton Down. He just loves it, doesn't he? What a fantastic guy to have involved in motorsport. And now, of course, a part owner of 888 Racing as well. Let's have a look at the results.
So Shaheen and Tander taking the win from the Groves in their debut run in the Porsche. Bates and Most at 3rd ahead of Ibrahim and Whincup. Hobson was up as high as 4th. Dropped back to 5th in the end, and Stupas, Patterson, Abrahams, the AM-class winner, back to Higgin and Stokel in 9th, and Quinn completing the top 10. McPherson and Porter, tough day for the iMac Lamborghini, then Taylor, Tesoriero, and the rest of the field. We'll check out the highlights of race number 2 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. And it was a wild start. Anyone would think, boys, that this was going to be a one-lap sprint, judging by turn 1.
It was all one, wasn't it? It was all happening. Doesn't an hour race go so fast?
And of course, our pro drivers got us underway. We see here this was 4th position. This was Chaz Mostert. Jamie Whincup just letting him past on the inside. Our first spin of the day. There were plenty of them. Beached as bro was the comment from Dave Reynolds.
Huge slide by Mostert there. Maybe he was struggling with a bit of rear tyre grip there, and then when he handed to Tony, Tony struggled also.
And the pit stop window opened. We only got about 3 laps after safety car period, and then we went back to racing. That was Grove and Bates. And this move by Ibrahim, the door slammed shut, and lucky not to have a spin and cause a lot of damage to both cars. Shaheen would take the lead off Grove. They engaged in a battle for several laps.
The Audis are very fast here at Phillip Island, aren't they? They've sort of dominated this track for the last couple of years.
This was the big one that brewed up between Hobson and Matt Stupas, and Nick Kelly arrived on the scene. He then made contact with Stupas, who got his right front to left rear in this massive spin across the gravel at the top of Hayshed. But a different day, but the same result. Yasser Shaheen and Garth Tander taking the win. Back-to-back victories in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. And they'll score 50 points and have a 7-point advantage over Matt Stupas in 3rd place as we head to the next round at Mount Panorama on the Easter long weekend. The Melbourne Performance Centre team there of Bates and Mostert running back in 7th position. So let's head down to Jack Perkins, who's now in victory lane with our top 3.
Thanks, Matt. Yes, down here in victory lane with proud winners, Yasser Shaheen and Garth Tander, the Pro-Am winners today. Yasser, what a brilliant drive. Obviously, Garth set it up for you, but you still needed to get the car into the lead, and you did exactly that.
Yeah, Matt, he did an awesome job to hold first the whole way against that company. It was an incredible effort, so he made my life easy. And the safety car was a blessing, but I reckon we had it today. It's good.
Well driven. And Garth, we spoke to you during the race. You had a good little battle out in the front, but it was nice to watch Yasser get the win for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this racing's all about. We obviously had the biggest pit stop penalty. That safety car probably did help us a little bit, but Yasser's on fire this weekend. Really, he's the one that set it up for us yesterday, and he brought it home today. So, great start to the championship.
And did you enjoy driving with Garth this weekend, Yasser?
Yeah, mate, I had a ball. Absolutely, and he doesn't drive too badly either.
So I guess we'll see you back at the next one too, Garth?
Yeah, I think we might turn up for the next one.
Well done, boys. Thank you very much.
Pick up, boys. We're just waiting for the amateur interview.
Well done to Shaheen and Tanda today. There's Mostert down in the pits with Adam de Bore in the centre of the shot. He's been engineering both cars this weekend, the Audi in this series, and of course his TCR car that he's won victory. Well done to these two today, picking up back-to-back victories. Yasser Shaheen and Garth Tanda. Great race, Stubbsy.
It was a great race, yeah. Interesting strategy. That safety car timing right before the compulsory pit stop window opening there at the 25-minute mark. It was so close to changing the total complexion of that race.
And for our New South Wales and Queensland viewers, it's now time to change to 7-2 if you want to keep watching the action. New South Wales and Queensland viewers, it's time to switch over to 7-2 to take in all the action here this afternoon at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit.
Right, stand by. Just live shots here. 20 seconds live shots until we roll the transients, boys. So just feel for a bit here.
Arthur Abrahams taking off the helmet. Great drive to him today, jumping back behind the wheel. The GTs turning on here at Phillip Island. We'll see them very soon at Mount Panorama for the next round of the series. But the racing still continues. It's a big afternoon. We switch to V8 power after this. The mighty Trans Ams, round 2 and race 3 of the National Trans Am Series is ready to rock. Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Can't wait for that. Stick around. You're watching all the action here from the Shannon's Motorsport Australia Championships.
Do these highlights of this race in this break here, mate, please. Stand by.